SUI is quickly becoming one of the top contenders to flip Solana and become one of the biggest cryptos by market cap. Right now, Solana is sitting at number 5, while SUI sits at number 20. But many folks all over social media have been speculating that SUI is the new Solana. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you 5 reasons you don't want to be sleeping on SUI, because things are just heating up, and much of what I cover in this video will be just as relevant in 2025 as it is right now. And if you stick around near the end of the video, I'll be covering whether or not it's possible for SUI to flip Solana and pull a 100x from today's prices by 2025. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Paul, and just a quick recap for those of you guys who are brand new or maybe hearing about SUI for the very first time. SUI is an L1 blockchain developed by Mistin Labs, and that is a company that was co-founded by former Meta or Facebook employees. For those of you guys who don't know, and this correlates perfectly to reason number 1, the fact that SUI has one of the most stacked teams in all of blockchain. When you look at Facebook and Meta, they're one of the most developer robust companies in the world. They have developers that develop programming languages for other developers to completely use in an open source environment. That said, there are some serious brains and talent over at Meta, and SUI had a group of gentlemen that were working on a blockchain for Facebook back in the day called DM. However, because they experienced so much regulatory scrutiny, the team ended up leaving Meta and then started working on their own blockchain technology. That team split off in 2 different directions. One of them started building a company called Aptos. The other started building SUI, and that is the team behind Mistin Labs. And so when you head on over to the Mistin Labs website, you can see that they do promote the founders of SUI, and I want to focus in on one very important gentleman by the name of Evan Cheng. This is one of the original founders of the Move programming language for parallel blockchains. Now, that's a lot of jargon, but what it really means is that it's an extremely efficient blockchain, which is why they are getting a lot of traction and are very successful among their investors. But it's not just Evan Cheng. You can see that these are other people on the team, from Adeniyi Abiodun, Sam Blackshear, George Denezis, and others mentioned below. They all have a lot of deep experience working for some major companies, from Apple to Meta to PeerNova, Oracle, JP Morgan, HSBC, Microsoft, and the list goes on. Now, because they are such a stacked team, they did raise an astounding amount of capital to go ahead and build this company and then have a very large runway for hiring, for events, for building out their marketing, all sorts of things. They raised $300 million at a $2 billion valuation back in the end of 2022, and they're not close to running out by any means just yet, which means a lot of that money is going to go into developing the infrastructure, hiring more talent, and creating for a blockchain that is here to stay. Now, reason number 2, as an L1 blockchain or a layer 1 blockchain, SUI is wicked fast. There are two different types of TPS, or transactions per second. It essentially means that if you and I went to go, let's say, swipe our debit card, is it possible that the transaction would go through almost immediately, right? Where in reality, with blockchains that are slow and clunky, if you have 1,000 people swiping their credit cards all at the same time, and your credit card provider is operating on a clunky system that is congested, not all of the transactions might go through. And we've experienced that over and over with different blockchains. At some points, we even saw Solana go down because it became very popular. So that said, there are two different types of transactions per second. There is a theoretical one, which is kind of like their maxed out capability that a lot of the science points to. And then there's the real one, which is really where the blockchain starts to break. So when you take a look at something like Solana, you can see that their theoretical max TPS, or transactions per second, is about 65,000. That means if 65,000 people all try to run a transaction at the same time, they should all go through smoothly. And this is really what allowed Solana to dominate in a space full of other blockchains that are vying for attention and TVL, or total value locked. And that's because Anatoly Yakovenko, one of the founders of Solana, created a new type of consensus mechanism called proof of history. However, it's important to note that as markets get heated up and there are more and more people flooding into the blockchain, things start to break sometimes with Solana. Right now, the transactions per second are sitting at about 2,600 and it is operating smoothly. However, when you look at the theoretical max transactions per second for something like SUI, we're sitting at a whopping 297,000. And this is because of the new programming language Move and their novel development in blockchain, which is really blockchain parallelization, which works by having the blockchain network sort transactions and execute them simultaneously, making use of all available network resources. This is different because older blockchains process transactions in sequence, where each transaction is processed one after the other. That's why most blockchains like Ethereum are clunky and slow. Now, Solana can easily run probably between 5,000 to 6,000 transactions per second, but SUI at its theoretical max of 297 really outperforms Solana and is what you would truly call scalable, as SUI recently closed in on 6,000 transactions per second in an inscriptions surge. So again, we're talking about the theoretical max, but then we're talking about reality. Reality is Solana's doing about 2,600 right now. SUI did this totally just fine, 6,000. Reason number 3, SUI has a low float. Now, in layman's terms, what this means is that a lot of the tokens are currently not in circulation. So it's kind of like if I made 1,000 trading cards, okay, and instead of releasing all 1,000 right now into the market because there might not be the demand to eat them up, maybe I only release, 100 of them. So in that case, only 10% of the trading cards that I've made would be in circulation. So if the demand, let's just say, is 20 people are trying to buy 10 cards, then that actually is very positive for the price of those cards, unless of course I start to release a heck of a lot more of those cards. And according to CoinGecko, a low float crypto accounts for 21.3% of the top 300 cryptos by market capitalization. So there is like a double-edged sword. It's very positive for the price action now, but in the future it might actually harm the potential price action. But in a bull market, a low float is actually very positive, and we are currently seeing that happen in the price, especially if you look at a 7-day time frame. We are currently up. Right now, the circulating supply is 27% of the total or max supply. In other words, we have currently 2.7 billion tokens in circulation, and that accounts for a $5 billion market cap. Now, SUI is going to experience something we call a linear unlock, where every single period of time where you see these little cliffs like this, we're going to have more and more of the SUI tokens unlocked to each of these different cohorts, like early contributors, Series B investors, Series A investors, in other words, venture capital, community access programs, stake subsidies, community reserves, the locked contract, and the Mist and Lab treasury. And currently we are sitting on October 9th. However, as time goes on, more and more tokens will be unlocked, and these will be available for whoever gets the tokens to sell into the market. So right now, like I said, unless they sell these tokens, we could see more of the supply in circulation. That doesn't mean they're going to sell. If there is a low float like this in a very bullish or a positive environment, that will be very positive for the price. And to give you an example of what could potentially happen in the future, here is the actual market cap of Solana. And you can see here at its peak in about November 6th of 2021, it hit a total market cap of about $78 billion. And that was the all-time high on the price. Since then, we've actually reached newer highs on the market cap, yet the price is actually lower than it was at 142. And I'll show you directly on the chart. You can see that there's a stark difference. Where back here, we actually had a $78 billion market cap, yet the price was $260. And right here, we have a price of $142 with actually a higher market cap over the entire year of 2024. Why is the price lower even though the market cap is higher? Well, simple. A lot more tokens have entered the market. A lot of these tokens were unlocked and investors started selling them, which creates a downward pressure. However, if you were to look back at this period of time on Solana, it also had a relatively low float. So yes, a lot of tokens were going to be unlocked in the future, but because there was so much demand in a bullish market environment, it really pumped the price to some insane all-time highs, which is very much possible and potential for the new up and coming SUI crypto. Reason number 4, SUI has strong mind share and social dominance. Right here, we are sitting on October 9th. And as you can see here, SUI is ranked number 9. However, if we go back the previous day, you can see of all of the cryptos that are tracked, SUI ranked at number 3. Then the day before that, SUI was ranked at number 1. People are getting very bullish on the socials for something like SUI. And even when we track this social dominance on the charts, you can see that SUI is now at new all-time highs, even though we actually peaked right back over here on the price in March 27th of 2024. We are back at that previous high, but we have far more people talking about it. And it's not just the social dominance, it's also the social volume, or how often it's talked about. So we'll show you that metric. You can see that we are getting a large spike. And obviously back here when it was first listed, everyone's going to talk about it because it had such a large raise. But now we're actually seeing the price action to confirm that social volume, that social dominance. And even when we have AI filtering things, it's extremely similar. So this is kind of like a filtered volume. And as you can see here, the yellow is proving that yes, there is a lot of momentum and steam behind this SUI move. Heck, even when you ask Grok 2, the AI over on X, you can see that SUI has shown a notable increase in mentions, especially highlighted by its rapid growth in the DeFi sector and its comparison with other cryptocurrencies like Solana. Reason number 5 is the fact that SUI has some explosive price action. Sure, there are a lot of cryptos out there, but many cryptos don't move as strongly as something like SUI. When it bottoms out and investors start to really get behind it, you can see that in the previous move, SUI moved about 472%. And then in the final move, as of very recently, we're up about 363%, and we're just at that previous all-time high. So if we break above this all-time high, because it's completely thin, clear blue skies up here, it's highly likely to jump up to $5, likely $10, maybe even more. Not only that, but when you actually look at the volume is actually confirming the move. Whenever we get a break above this white line right up here, this can be considered the third standard of deviation in terms of volume. Average volume would be this line right over here. You can see when volume volume is declining, the line is blue. When it's increasing, the line is white. We want to see an increase in volume over a period of 30 days to verify that these moves are legit. Whenever we start to get the volume up into this range right up here, these are some very large moves, and these are very indicative of the move being confirmed. In other words, the price action is valid, and a break above this range right here is really going to take us to some new all-time highs. Now for the question you've all been waiting for. Is it possible for something like SUI to pull a 100x from here and flip Solana? So let's run the comparison. When Solana broke out to a new all-time high from its previous high right back here in August of 2020, you can see that it made a run for 5,000%. Well, in similar fashion, we've actually had more time to hang out below the range and gather some strength, and we're hopeful that SUI starts to see the same type of momentum, considering again right now it's low float. We're seeing the fact that even though a lot of tokens are going to be released in the future, there seems to be far more demand for this token, and it's indicated in the price. The price is proving it. The volume below is proving it. So if we saw a 5,000% gain similar to Solana, I do believe we'd flip Solana, because I don't think Solana this bull market cycle is going to see a 5,000% gain. Usually it's the new and up and coming cryptos that do. If we saw a 5,000% gain, that would take us to about $102 on the price. If we wanted to see a 100x on SUI, the price would have to go to about $200, which at that point I don't think is truly realistic, considering the market cap is already so large at about $5 billion. The market cap would have to be a minimum of about $500 billion, and no crypto aside from Ethereum as an altcoin has ever reached that market cap. And it's also important to note that Ethereum took multiple cycles to do that, being that it was also the first to really have smart contracts on their blockchain. So that said, when we talk about SUI hitting a 100x, no, I don't think it's going to happen in 2025, but I do think it's possible and potential for SUI to reach at least $20, and on the high end, maybe even $100. But if SUI did hit $20, that's still a 10x. And if you were to invest $10,000, you'd have $100,000. If you invested $100,000, you would have a whopping $1 million. That's a pretty intense gain if you ask me. So if you enjoyed the video and you learned something new, we appreciate you hanging out and watching. And also, I'd recommend that you click on one of the links down in the description below or in the comments. But in the comments, make sure it's the pinned post, because other people might be trying to scam you in there and it's very hard to keep up on. But when you do, you can go to bullrunners.com to learn how to become a crypto millionaire, and you can join our early bird list for exclusive altcoin picks, market analysis, and access to our crypto education platform. I appreciate you watching the video, my friend. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.